AJ Strangebrew and the man called Dave to talk top Bret Hart.
All right, guys. So top 5 dream matches of Bret Hart. I thought this was a good time to do this list because I feel like Bret's kind of been, in the news a little bit. Like we're seeing a lot of people like Dax Harwood of FTR that is a huge fan of Bret Hart, CM Punk, and we had the Owen Hart tournament recently. There was that big show for Big Time Wrestling where Bret was in the corner of FTR. And it turns out, as AJ does his Bret Hart impression, he wore those glasses last week, and we realized this was the week to actually do it. Turns out this is actually 20 years since Bret Hart had a stroke. No, we're not celebrating it, but it was ironic. Bret posted today that this has been 20 years since I suffered a stroke. He chose a photo of him walking down the aisle to WrestleMania 26 to post on Facebook. And he said he had chose this photo because there was a time when he didn't think he would ever be able to do this again. He was thanking the doctors who were by his side and everybody at the hospital in Calgary. And, it's quite an achievement just to even be able to walk and just live an everyday life after stroke.
Dave, I was okay with this until you brought this up, and it was great. It's wonderful that you want to celebrate his stroke. But getting a Bret Hart-shaped head pinata and hitting it with a stick all weekend is not a way to celebrate, and it's fucked up, man. And I'm disappointed in you.
Yeah, you're gonna have some hate mail if anyone sees this, man. There's a lot of Bret Hart support. People love Bret nowadays. Actually,
okay. First of all, people love Goldberg too because of this. Because without that kick to the head, would he have ever had the stroke?
We don't know. We don't know. Those concussions might have led to it. But hey, let's just get right into the list, man. Come on, we got a lot of good lists and not so good lists to get to. I'm going to start off. Mike Caldwell. He has got Bret versus Moxley, Bret versus AJ Styles, Bret versus Edge, Bret versus Orton, and Bret versus Dax Harwood. Dax Harwood might be one to keep an eye on too, actually, AJ.
I'm actually adding him to the list right now.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, he's actually on my list. So.
Yeah. Now, some good, interesting names here. I don't know if we're going to see come up again too many more times. Moxley, that's an interesting one. That brawling style Bret could have had a great match with him. Obviously, AJ Styles. I mean, that goes without saying. And again,
you're gonna see Styles a lot on these lists.
I feel it's
just gonna happen.
But Orton is another guy too. I think Orton is so sound that that would have been a phenomenal match. But AJ, why don't you kick us off? Who you got for your first list?
All right, so my eyes are going to come off the camera a little bit today because I have about 400 lists here, and I'm keeping the tally, so it's going to be hard to keep my eyes on the list. However, let's take a look here. We've got, starting off, Sam Broster, and he's got Kurt Angle. I think we're going to see that a lot. Bryan Danielson. If we don't see that a lot, I'd be very shocked. Rey Mysterio. We've got Brock Lesnar, and guess what? Dax Harwood. Or CM Punk. We're going to go with Dax on this one because there's no or.
All right, AJ, I'm going to give you a little chance here to keep down. I'm going to come up with 2 lists because I got the great Randy Oscar's friends. So even before we get to Randy Oscar, I got a couple friends.
I thought we were Randy's only friends.
No. He's got a few, and he's got another one coming up after this too. But he's got Anthony Laterra, who comes up once in a while here, and he's got CM Punk, current AEW World Heavyweight Champion, Bryan Danielson.
There will be an interim champion, though.
There will be an interim champion. All right, I'm trying to stall time so you can write this down. Doesn't help if you interrupt.
Don't worry, I'm fine. I'm a tallywhacker from way back.
I got you. Dax Harwood, AJ Styles, and a name we probably should see on more list, Eddie Guerrero. Eddie Guerrero was one of the best wrestlers in the world. Lost him too soon. Mike Pilko, also from Randy's friends list. He's got CM Punk, Bryan Danielson, Kenny Omega, Zack Sabre Jr., one of the best technical wrestlers in the world. And he said Bret and Owen Hart versus the Young Bucks. So a tag match thrown in there. How about that?
Nice. I like the idea of that tag match. That would have been a fascinating match. I mean, obviously, Owen was actually one of the originators of the style that you see more of from the Bucks, quite frankly, although he did use a lot of the technical skills also,
Right.
unlike the Bucks. Let's give you a little tally to give you an idea right now where we're at. So far, Mr. Dax Hardwood is leading the way, tied with Bryan Danielson with 3. We've got in second place Pumpkin Styles, both with 2. 1 for Angle, 1 for Lesnar, 1 for Mox, and 1 for Orton.
All right. I like these tallies. All right, AJ, give me some list here.
All right, Michael Adrian Doonan. He's got Kurt Angle. He's got Bryan Danielson. He's got Samoa Joe. That's a nice one.
Yep.
We've got early 2000s Jericho because they may have wrestled in the 1990s, but I don't think they ever did.
They did. They did
but early 2000s Jericho. And then we've got Mr. Brock Lesnar again. A lot of people wanted to see Bret Hart. I assume that's why they wanted the Brock Lesnar match.
Actually, we both know. I'm going to get you right another list here, too. But Bret versus Brock. If you look at Brock's career, some of his best matches have been with guys like AJ Styles, Bryan Danielson, guys that could really bump for him. Bret could bump for him. And Bret was very good at making, obviously, his offense look realistic.
It would have made a good sense with Bret also because Bret would have dissected a body part. Right. Which is what you have to do against a monster. So I tease about it, but it would have been a hell of a match.
You tease because we know what happened with Goldberg, but Brock is no Goldberg, obviously. But
no, he is not. He is much safer than Goldberg. His stuff, he lays it in, but he's a very safe worker. You never hear about Brock actually legitimately hurting people other than the elbow to the back of Randy Orton's head.
We're pretty sure that might have been a good spot ahead of time.
Yeah.
Now, I'll give you another list there since I gave you 2.
All right, so we've got Evan Ryan Tolley. Why does everybody put their middle name in these? We've got Kurt Angle. We've got Bryan Danielson again.
Yes.
We've got Samoa Joe again, Eddie Guerrero, and Edge.
Edge, awesome. Seeing some Edge heads out there. Now, I'm going to give you 2 more lists as well here because we got Randy Osga and one more friend of Randy's. So why don't we go with the friend first? Alex Lorenzo. He's got an interesting list here, I think. The Rock. The Rock is not making a lot of people's list, but they have never wrestled. Here's another one. Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens, that's a great one from Canada. Here's one I don't think it's going to make a lot of lists either.
Especially since Kevin Owens actually took the Owens from Owen Hart as a tribute to Owen Hart. So he's obviously a fan of the Hart brothers.
Absolutely. And here's one I know we're not going to see on a ton of lists. Sheamus. That's an interesting matchup. He would have definitely brought it. Here's another one. Drew McIntyre. I feel like this guy's a big fan of today's WWE with some of the names he's putting out here. And then finally, number 5 on his list, Ricochet.
Oh, that's an interesting one also.
Yeah. And now I got Randy here. And Randy's going to give us some of the ones we heard today, but he's got one at the end of it I think you're going to like. All right. But let's keep these votes going here. We got Kurt Angle. We got Dax Harwood. We got Bryan Danielson. I'm getting to think maybe I should have put this guy in the running. Eddie Guerrero. I don't know if he's not enough yet. And
he's not alive to celebrate for it with us, so we can't keep him on the list.
And then number 5 by Randy Osga. This is a good one. I think producer Joe even liked this one too. Nigel Mcginnis.
That is a great one.
Nigel Mcginnis versus Bret Hart. Excellent list.
By the way, I happen to know because I've looked forward on the list. This is not the only time we're going to hear that name.
Oh, really? Interesting. All right.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Let's give you a little tally to see how things are swinging. It's always important to know how your tally wagon is wagging.
All right.
We've got Hardwood and he's actually fallen into second place with Kurt Angle because Bryan Danielson's got 6. Whereas they have 4. Lesnar's at 2 still, Punk at 2, Styles at 2, and then Mox and Orton at 1. So right now, Bryan Danielson is the dream match.
Funny we didn't put Guerrero's name on here, but we got Mox and Orton. All right. I got Richard White, we got Owen Hart. Okay, that's happened already. Actually, this is the one.
I mean, that's a nice dream match because he would have to be back alive again. So that's nice of him. Yeah.
Also, Chris Benoit. That's happened as well.
Already happened. Matter of fact,
I don't know if that one happened on Nitro.
Wait a minute. Matter of fact, Benoit wrestled Hart in tribute to Owen Hart after he passed away.
He did. Continuing on. At least you can tally up these next two. Daniel Bryan and Kurt Angle also make his list. Now, I'm going to read another one. This was on one of our Facebook accounts, and I thought this guy was interesting because he responded with dream match, meaning matches that didn't happen. He had this comment right under the other person's list, so I think he picked up on what was going on here. And he gave me Punk, Danielson. This is Joe Venora, by the way. And like I said, he's got Punk, Danielson. He also has Kurt Angle, Samoa Joe, and AJ Styles. And he also added, too, by the way, that Okada would have been a great choice as well. And he said, but Okada could wrestle a plastic bag, go under the ring with the bag, clean it, and still have 4 stars. So
nice. That's not a lot of plastic bag cleaners out there, so that's really cool.
No. I don't know how did I just give you there.
So you just gave me, you gave me 2 lists. So if you want, I'll go with 2 lists.
Yes, sir.
We've got Simon Bohm. He's got Kurt Angle. He apparently hates the world, so he's got John Cena. We've got William Regal. That's a good one. Bobby Eaton.
That's a great one.
In parentheses, he's got Hearts versus Midnights.
That's
I don't know if he meant Hart Foundation or if he meant Owen and Bret, but either way,
that's
fantastic. Awesome. And then he's got RVD.
That's another good one.
It's a good one. That's but Kurt Angle's the only one who actually is there, who actually is making this interesting. All right, so TJ Zanos, he's got Ricky Steamboat. Okay, this is the one that's going to drive me crazy, guys. It's not a dream match if they've already wrestled. Ricky Steamboat, if you want to catch Ricky Steamboat versus Bret Hart, check out on YouTube. It's March 3rd or March 8th of 1986, Boston Gardens. You can catch out Steamboat versus Bret Hart.
Yes. Now that's a little more rare. A lot of people did have that on there. And that's why I had mentioned it to you. But yes, they did wrestle when Bret was part of the Hart Foundation, and he was doing singles matches here and there on arena shows.
Yeah, and I'm only mentioning it because if this is a dream match for you and you haven't seen it, it's a chance for you to actually see it because I happen to know where it is because I've seen it.
I want to cut some of the slack you said this as opposed to somebody who just didn't know and just filled out Bret versus Owen, Bret versus Benoit.
Yeah.
All right.
No, absolutely. No, this is different.
Yeah.
This is something you might not know happened because I think it happened once.
Right.
So but this is a chance to actually give you an opportunity to see that dream match.
All right.
Nick Bockwinkel. This is another one that could have happened in Stampede, could have happened in the territories. I didn't look this one up, so I don't know for sure that it happened. But hopefully we can check this out sometime because Bockwinkel did spend time in Stampede. All right. So Dax Hardwood is another one on that list. We've got Dean Malenko, which I think is a fantastic. I mean, that may have happened already also. And then Iron Anderson. I know for a fact that the Hart Foundation has wrestled the Brainbusters.
Yes.
So I know for a fact that once again, you can check out that match. But definitely a good list.
And there is a Bret Hart versus Nick Bockwinkel match. It looks like it's from Stampede. I just did a little Google search. So just a heads up, there is a match out there somewhere. All right. I got Nicololi White. He's got, get your pen ready here, AJ.
I'm ready.
Versus CM Punk, versus Bryan Danielson, versus Kurt Angle. I think we know who our top 3 are. Versus Rey Mysterio, and versus Chris Jericho.
All right. So to give you an idea right now.
Let me throw out one more because I've been doing 2s. And
go ahead.
There's some people that had comments here too. Lewis McNair just wrote down for dream matches retirement. Thank you, Lewis. Isaiah Seiler just wrote The Rock, and then Sherry Caselli wrote down Ricky the Dragon Steamboat again, which we know is there, and Chris Benoit, which we also know has happened. So we got those out of the way. AJ, tell us how to list.
Yeah, now that I can't get back that last minute. We've got tied for the number 1 spot now, Bryan Danielson and Kurt Angle. Two of the greatest wrestlers of all time who I think would have been absolutely incredible with Bret Hart. We've got Dax Hardwood holding on to that 3rd spot. He's got 5, although his is about to grow by looking at my list. We've also got, I added a name into there, Samoa Joe, into the tallies just because his tallies are getting up there. He's actually got 4, and he's tied with CM Punk. AJ Styles with 3, Lesnar with 2, Mox with 1, and Orton with 1.
And I feel like Eddie Guerrero's got 3 in there too.
Yeah, I think Guerrero's got 3 in there also, but I just hate to write out his name because it's so long.
And I believe
All right.
we can do 2 more lists.
So coming up next, we've got the heart and soul of Working Fans Podcast, Producer Joe. He's got Dean Malenko.
Was he under the influence when he made this list?
Yes. Well, he was under the influence of the greatness that is Bret Hart. And then he's got Dean Malenko, Bryan Danielson. So we got to check him off there. Boom. We've got the one and only Okada. I was going to try to butcher his first name, but you know what? We're just going to call him Okada, which is an excellent one. Dax Hardwood getting another vote. And then Kurt Angle getting another vote. So all 3 of our top 3s got a vote from Producer Joe. So that tells you how good each one of those superstars is. Also, Nicholas Brown. He's coming to us with a list. He's got Kurt Angle. He's got Bryan Danielson. CM Punk. He's got Ricky Steamboat. And here's one that I like. The Great Muta.
Oh, that's excellent. That's excellent.
That is an excellent one. Good job, Nicholas Brown. If I had a cookie, I would give you one.
Kachuka. Kachuka Okada.
Yeah, nobody does names like we do on this show. That's for darn sure.
Check out the Combat Cast if you really want to have some fun. Joe editing those every week. All right. I got a couple lists from Twitter. Jordan, the FTR card collector. He's got Bryan Danielson, Kurt Angle, CM Punk, and then with the anvil, he made sure to put that in there, versus FTR. And then he's also got Hayabusa in here. And he's puts down to see the difference it would have been had Hayabusa been hired and not Genzi Suzuki, also known as Takuchi.
Now, I did give Hardwood the vote on that one because FTR got in there, and he is half that team. So he got a vote.
Yeah. Interesting, Cash Wheeler's not getting any votes here. But also,
which is a shame because Cash is a great superstar also.
Yeah, he is. Jason Bayless, also from Twitter, he's got Angle, Danielson, The Rock gets another one on here. Jericho also, and Edge again. I'll just make a little, just because we're not talking enough about these potential matches. I'll throw this out here a little bit because we got so many. But Bret versus Edge would have been definitely one I think I would have really liked to see when Edge came in his own. Like if Bret had never had a stroke, I like to think at some point he would have been back in WWE as a competitor, and a match with him and Edge would have definitely been interesting.
And he's another one of those superstars that obviously grew up in Canada and is a huge fan of Bret Hart. And Bret Hart was very influential in the beginning of his career. If you've ever heard Edge talk about how he started his career, he did train in Toronto, but he got invited over to the Hart dungeon and the Hart mansion over there. And he had an opportunity to actually learn under the Bret tree there. So that's a nice little thing.
All right, AJ, keep those lists coming here. What do you got?
So we've got Kenny Color. He's got CM Punk.
Yep.
He's got Eddie Guerrero, Samoa Joe, The Rock, and Kane.
That's one.
The
Mayor Glenn Jacobs, very popular on Twitter these days.
Some would say the greatest masked luchador of all time, Kane.
Check out Prior 531. Greatest masked wrestler. I don't think we ever called him the greatest luchador.
No. Greatest luchador, in my opinion.
Okay.
Michael Mizia. He's got Nick Bockwinkel, Bryan Danielson, Kurt Angle. He's also got Jushin Thunder Liger And then he's got Bray Wyatt. It's the first time Bray Wyatt's name has popped up there. Also, first time Jushin Liger has popped up.
I almost wanted to add producer Joe to the stream right now. I'm just going to leave it at that. So yeah, Liger would be a very good competitor to have seen Bret go to. I mean, I think with Bret versus Mysterio Liger, you know, some of the smaller guys, just look at the match he had with 1, 2, 3 kid Sean Waltman. Like Bret really knew how to like be in the ring with those guys and have that kind of style match.
I would like to point out there is a slight difference between the 1, 2, 3 kid and those other two that we mentioned. The other two are about 5'4", whereas Sean Waltman, even though he weighed 160 pounds, was about 6 feet tall.
Say that with a little more passion and respect on you.
However, I do think Bret would have had a great match with both of those other two competitors also.
Ironically, too, I've learned about Waltman over the years. He was actually quite able to handle himself, too. He might have actually handed everybody their ass in that situation. Yeah. But continuing on, we got some fan favorites of this show. Author Jake St. John giving us a list. He's got Will Ospreay. He's got Minoru Suzuki. No surprise if you know Jake. He's got Kachuka Okada. He's got ZSJ, Zack Sabre Jr., or Zack St. John, if you prefer.
Yeah. How great was it to see Zack Sabre Jr. out there on Dynamite this week?
Yeah, that's right. So that's it. If you get the audio version, yes, we are recording that same as Dynamite when this gets aired. This is not going to air until 2 weeks later, actually, AJ. And number one on his list, Bryan fucking Danielson. But, and don't you forget to write that down, but he does have the Jake rule in effect. I know you will not tally this up because it's a Jake rule, but he's got FTR versus the Hart Foundation.
I'm going to give one to Dax.
I thought you might. You would have done that for Rey Mysterio or Liger, any of those other 5'4" people you mentioned.
Rules are made to be broken, and luckily I'm a heel, so I can do what I want.
Well, I'm going to continue on with give you another little dose of some St. John. We got Zack St. John, and
isn't that Mrs. St. John's favorite baby boy?
The original ZSJ. He's got Bret versus Kurt Angle. He's got Bret versus Eddie Guerrero. Bret versus Kenny Omega, Bret versus Jericho, and Bret versus Okada. Would have been interesting to see if we had included Okada.
So let's do it. Since I believe that was your second list, let's do a quick tally here so people know exactly where we stand. We don't want to get to the end of this and people go, "That's bullshit." You know what I mean? So we've got Bryan Danielson. He's tied with Kurt Angle, and they both have 15. We've got Dax Hardwood, if you're counting aloud at home. He's actually in the second spot with 8. CM Punk has pulled up right behind, though. He's at 7. We've got Samoa Joe at 5, actually holding down the next spot. And then it falls off from there. AJ Styles with 3, Brock Lesnar with 2, Mox and Orton both with 1. Eddie Guerrero, who knows? We're not keeping track.
Jericho. I feel like there's a couple of these guys that might have picked up some of the slack on the bottom. Why don't you give me 2 more lists, though?
All right. So this list is coming to you from Brenton J. Dufresne III. Not the second one. The second one couldn't care less. And so we do have Kurt Angle.
Yep.
We've got Shawn Michaels for old time's sake. And now I appreciate the fact that he put for old time's sake in there. Still not going to count it, but hey, good for you. We've got John Cena because he apparently also hates the world. We've got Bryan Danielson. And then I'm surprised this is the first time this guy's showing up. MJF. How good would a program have been? MJF is kind of similar to the old brash Shawn Michaels. It might have been interesting to see a program between these two. Now, we've got Dan D. Ramirez. He's got Kurt Angle. Brock Lesnar. He's got Booker T, Eddie Guerrero, and here's an interesting one that we haven't heard yet. Roman Reigns.
That is a very good one. Booker T and him have had a match, I believe.
Yes.
For the WCW TV
I know they wrestled in WCW for the TV title.
Okay. Just checking on that. Was that your second list?
That was my second list. So it is time for Dave.
All right. I got Scott from Voluntown. He's got Dax Harwood, Kurt Angle, Bryan Danielson, Eddie Guerrero, Zack Sabre Jr. A lot of respect to Eddie out here. Eddie would have tore it up with Bret.
Absolutely.
But
I just wish we knew how many people voted for him.
he would. I don't think he would have been winning. He wouldn't have been in the top 3. So, but continue on to people that are in the top 3. I got Tim Hartford all the way from Tennessee. He's got Bret versus Danielson, Bret versus Omega. Here's another one. It's just getting kind of popular. Hart Foundation versus FTR. And here's one. Bret versus Cody Rhodes.
Wow,
And
that's a good one.
Also,
So
Bret
here. Yeah.
Oh, wait. This is in. Tim corrected himself. Bret versus Okada, not Omega. So anyway, go ahead.
Thank you for correcting yourself. So here's a fun little fact. If we went with just the FTRs that we got, Cash Wheeler actually would be creeping up the list also, because he would be past guys like Styles and Lesnar right now. So fun little fact for you.
I'm actually putting my list as we get together right now, because I don't want to actually cheat. So I'm going to put my list in the middle. And I'm trying to come up with people we haven't heard today. Not easy, by the way.
I think I have a fun list for you also. So I'll do mine right after yours.
All right. But you, I believe you are next with your 2 list.
Yes. All right. So then I'll do mine first.
Yes.
So for my list, I actually had mine written up here. So you can actually see that
you have more lists to come though, right?
Oh, I have a lot more, but I'm just going to do mine so that we're showing that we're fair and not copying anyone else.
Okay. All right. Yeah. All right. Go ahead. Do your list.
Johnny Gargano.
All right.
Touch that one with a stick, internet. We've also got Cesaro, who has not been mentioned yet. Claudio Castellano. Where are all you fans? How do you not want to see Cesaro versus Bret? What is wrong with you people? Tyler Bates.
I like it.
I haven't heard any of these yet. Where are you people? How about, I do have Dax Hardwood on mine, but for my last one, this is one that might surprise you because I think that this would have been a fun one. Dolph Ziggler.
That all would have been good. All would have been good.
Didn't hear any of those names except for Dax on anyone else's list. Where are you people?
So before we go to your next, I'm going to give you 2 more. I'm going to give you mine. All right. Yep. So we just do this separate. You're only going to, I like you. I saw you wrote one down. You gave one down that was one of your favorites that's going to be in the running. So I'm going to do that too. I'm going to pick one of my favorites we heard. And I went with matches we had, people we haven't heard yet. So Bryan Danielson, go ahead and write them down.
Yeah,
because that's obviously who I'm favoring. You're hoping for Dax. I can see that. But I got Hangman Page. I have not heard anyone mention Hangman Page.
Not a single person. He almost made my list.
Yeah, he would have been great. Here's another one we haven't heard made list. Who would have tore it up with Bret Hart? Christopher Daniels.
100%. Great. You know what? Normally you're a moron, but great job.
Thank you. And since you were nice enough to put Johnny Gargano, that made me think if he wasn't going to do it, I got to do it. Tommaso Ciampa. They would have tore it up.
The only reason I didn't put Ciampa was because I didn't want to put both of them on the list. And it's a shame because I know they're individuals.
Yes.
But to me, it was just hard to put both of them.
Yeah. Now, one guy, I'm going to put an honorable mention after I put this next guy in. My 5th guy, Walter. Not Gunther, but you can call him Walter. They would have torn up. And an honorable mention, since these aren't going to count anyway, Chad Gable.
Oh, nice one.
Because
Absolutely.
He wouldn't have been like in a main event status. He damn well deserves to be, and they would have tore it up.
I mean, I'm a little surprised that neither one of us put Kurt Angle because we are both Kurt Angle fans.
I think we were going different.
Yeah, exactly. I think we were really going for what would have been dream matches.
Yes. That
we might not have ever seen.
So I got about, I think, 4 more people left. So
I have no idea how many I have left. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 left.
Okay, so give me your
Yep. All right. So we've got. Sorry, I got to get back to where I was at. Ken Shamrock.
Yes.
Excellent. Dax Hardwood.
Yes.
Thank God I did my list first because he's got Cesaro.
Yes.
And thank God you did your list first because he's got Gunther. But then he's got one that neither one of us thought of that I'm pissed off I didn't think of. He's got Jonathan Gresham.
That's a damn good one right there. Excellent choice.
Sonny Martinez, great job, brother. We've got Jerry J. He sounds like he should be a referee somewhere.
Jerry J. Ain't he great?
Double J, Jerry J. By the way, there's rumors that Double J may be the opponent for Ric Flair in his retirement match.
Double J, interim chairman.
I like this list because this is an old school list.
All right.
I'm going to start off with the most recent wrestler on the list. It's Kurt Angle.
Okay.
So he's going to get a vote on there, and he's our most recent wrestler. Here's the rest of them: Danny Hodge, Ray Stevens, Tim Woods. If you don't know who Tim Woods is, that is Mr. Wrestling. 2. And then we've got Bruiser Brody.
Fucking excellent.
What a great freaking list from Jerry. Dude, I feel like I got the better list. I'm sorry. I don't know why.
Jerry J. Well, you know. All right. You have another one, right?
I've got 4 more lists.
Oh, okay. You read your 2, though. Okay.
I read 2.
All right. I'm going to go with Mike Flynn then. He's got Bret versus Omega, Bret versus Cody, Bret versus Bryan Danielson. And here's one I don't think we've heard all day. Bret versus Tanahashi. And Bret versus Randy Orton. Tanahashi.
Oof, that's a good one.
And then I got Charlie Hill, who's got, I don't know if we heard this one too much here, Rick Rude, Dino Bravo, Jimmy Snuka. I don't know if it is. Now, this one we have seen, I know at least at Survivor Series, might have been some house show matches, but they never feuded Ted DiBiase.
Yep.
And then Dusty Rhodes. So also interesting one. Bret as a heel, bumping his ass for Dusty, could have been fun.
Yeah, I believe it would have been. I think obviously by the time Bret was in his prime, Dusty was, still wrestling the same style, but no longer in his prime. Mm-hmm. But it would have been a great match. All
right. Do you want to do one final tally, and then we won't? We'll get through these next 6, and then we'll see what we got.
Absolutely, because I've got 4 lists left.
Okay.
Yep. So let's do a tally first. Bryan Danielson has taken the lead. He's up to 20.
Yep.
Kurt Angle's got 19.
Yes.
Dax has got 12.
Oh.
We've got Samoa Joe still holding in there with 5. CM Punk with 7. Okay. And then nobody else is even close, so let's not even bother.
So I feel like we know our top 3 already. But
and Eddie Guerrero still has no idea how many because I did not keep track.
And Randy Oscar, don't forget my friends list. Randy, we did not. You should have got there at the beginning, brother.
Don't worry though, Randy. If you play this back afterwards and give us a like and a share, you'll be able to hear all your friends' lists.
Yeah, get some stars too. Get the money.
Stars, big stars.
Yeah, we get compensated for those. Anyway, cost them money though. All right, go ahead, AJ. Give us 2 more lists too.
I've got Cal Hawks. If that doesn't sound like a wrestler name, I don't know what is. That we've got CM Punk.
Yep.
We've got Ricky Steamboat, Bryan Danielson. We've got Tanahashi.
Oh, nice one.
And Mr. Jushin Thunder Liger.
Awesome list.
And then we've got Albert Bettis, or who I prefer to call Prince Albert.
Albert Bettis. Don't forget the super bitch. Go ahead.
Absolutely. We've got Kurt Angle. Don't call it a comeback. Oh, unfortunately, we've got Bryan Danielson. Mm-hmm. We've got William Regal.
We didn't forget it. We already addressed it. Anyway.
Eddie Guerrero. Lord, I wish we knew how many he had. And then we've got another Nigel Mcginnis as promised.
Yes. Awesome list. Now, before I get to my final 2 lists, I will respond to one of these comments. Randy Ossie asking, are we excited for the Forbidden Door pay-per-view? Yes and no. I am excited for this because there's a lot of fun matches on here. I think it'll be a good card. But I thought the lead up for this was really kind of almost forgettable. Like, this is going to be a fun show, but I don't feel like there's anything like shit, I better rent this pay-per-view or I'm going to be screwed.
It's going to be a fun show. I'm looking forward to it. It would have been nice if I knew who the hell Jay White was wrestling. That might make me a little bit more.
That's been answered.
Is it Okada?
No, it's a 4-way. It's Okada.
It's a 4-way dance now.
Yes. Adam Cole. Excalibur read that off when he goes through his just a mile a minute there later on in the show.
Yeah, unfortunately, he goes so fast sometimes I don't actually catch everything he says. But I am looking forward to it. It is a hefty price tag at $50 for a show that they didn't build well. But luckily, you've got enough talent on there and good matches where they'll end up getting it out of my pocket anyways.
All right. Now, are we doing your two here?
I thought it was your two and then my two.
Okay, let's do let's do 1 and 1. Actually, we'll trade off.
All right, we'll do that.
I got Vandal Drummond.
I don't have him on my list.
What the fuck is this? I love this guy's list. Spaceman Frank Hickey.
Luckily, I was counting on this, so I actually put a spot for Spaceman right here.
Well, I hope you got another one saved for Cat Weasel.
How could you not?
And don't forget about La Mimis. Also, this one I do know, by the way, and you'll remember this guy. He doesn't have the nickname, but I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to get the nickname. The Duke of Dorchester, Pete Doherty. And
I'm pretty sure that one's happened.
He's a contributor on the 605. That's not surprising because a lot of these guys would have been enhancement guys, I'm pretty sure, on some of those early 605 days. Plowboy Fraser.
Yeah, absolutely. Tremendous list. Thank you very much for contributing that. It's great to see dream matches. I just prefer when they don't come from the end of a pipe.
Spaceman Frank Hickey. AJ, please give me your next list. I love this.
So I've got Michael Ladford, and he gave us Ricky Steamboat.
Yes.
Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
Oh! Sorry.
Kurt Angle. Shelton Benjamin, which would have been a hell of a match. I would have loved to have seen the world's greatest tag team, Hoss and Benjamin, versus the Hart brothers. That would have been nice.
Or the
and then he's got Chris Jericho also. And then friend of the show, Chris Zauha.
Yeah.
That's he's got Kurt Angle.
Yep.
He's got Brock Lesnar, Rey Mysterio, Bobby Lashley.
Nice.
And Shawn Michaels for old time's sake.
Now, was that your last list, actually?
That was my last list. But before we do Dave's list, we're going to do a tally here to see what's going on.
I got one more list, though.
No. I know. Before you do your list, we can do a tally, and that way we can see if somebody takes the lead on your list.
All right.
The reason why I'm doing this is because thanks to those last two lists, we now have a tie between Bryan Danielson and Kurt Angle. They are both at 22.
Okay.
That's Dax Hardwood is finished at 12. Well, so far at 12. And nobody else is close enough to catch based on one list, so let's not even bother.
All right, we are going to have a vote winner. That does not mean that we're going to crown this person the winner, although we might, because honestly, it's down to Danielson and Angle. That's going to be
we don't always listen to the fans.
Yeah, but Bryan Danielson.
well, I know who the vote winner is. Way to hold the suspense.
Yeah, it was first time. This is Joe's brother, Matt, by the way. Matt giving us the main event list here.
Okay, I happen to know that Joe doesn't have a brother named Matt. He just has split personalities, and he just goes in and out of Matt and Joe.
This is his esteemed brother, Matt. We also had Cody Rhodes, CM Punk, MJF, and Okada. We don't actually need to write any more of these down, like you said. So the final list is Bryan Danielson, 23, Angle, 22, and Dax Hardwood is 3.
Yeah, I'm happy to see Dax finish in the third spot. Sentimentally, I would have loved to have seen him being the big fan that he is. Somehow pull this underdog off. But
since Dax
got
the third amount of votes, we always like to go a little bit with the votes, but we like to discuss too. So I feel like, okay, we're going to throw Dax in that third spot. That's fine. That's a good spot for him. As Triple H said, that's a good little spot for you.
Not a bad little spot.
B+ player.
It's not just any spot. It's my spot. Oh, sorry. That's a different one.
I love Dax. By the way, if Dax happens to stumble upon this, you are not a B+ player. You are a fucking
No, Dax, you are an all-star, and you deserve to be in that spot.
Yeah, I love you and Cash. My favorite tag team. Anyway, so we got to talk Kurt Angle, Bryan Danielson. Wow. So first off, let me just say this, and we'll see if we're going to agree or disagree on this. Usually I make my compelling argument, and I know generally if AJ is going to agree or disagree with me a lot of times. This one, I don't know. I think I have an idea, though. I don't know where I'm going with this for sure. But Bryan Danielson is my current favorite wrestler right now. He has been for the last several years. I don't think there's anyone that makes it look better or does any better. Bryan Danielson, I would dream for a match with him and Bret Hart. Bret was one of my favorites, as AJ knows, of eras before. That being said, Kurt Angle is also one of my favorites of the past. But even beyond that, I don't know if there's many people in terms of what they're in ring, of what they did, I respect and put on such a high list as Kurt Angle. Like when Kurt said he was the wrestling machine, that he was. Like there's not many people that could have outdone it with Kurt. If we're arguing about who had the better career, Bryan Danielson or Kurt Angle, you could say Kurt Angle. Maybe it probably is Kurt Angle, but I think that's an arguable point. But since the list is dream matches with Bret, and I like to think who would have pulled the best match out of Bret. Not talking about Kurt, so we're going to assume they're in their prime. So we're not talking about a beat-up Kurt Angle or anything like that. If you take Kurt at his prime, his physical prime, when he's performing at his best, there ain't anybody that's going to pull out a better match with Bret Hart. I know our fans might have outvoted this by one vote, but I'm saying we're going to – and I voted for Danielson too, by the way. But at the end of the day, when I really think about it, I think it's got to be Kurt Angle.
I was going to say, neither one of us actually voted for Kurt, which is a shame.
Yeah, I think we like the underdogs, but like at the end of the day, when you really think about it, like
other than the matches that he had with Chris Benoit, and I know we're not supposed to talk too much about Benoit, other than the matches that he had with Benoit, I think those matches, the match that he would have had with Danielson would have been similar to the match he had with Benoit. I just have a feeling like you do that Kurt Angle in his prime would have had the ultimate match. The two of them would have put something together. I don't know if there's anybody. They called him the Cyborg, for Christ's sakes, because I don't know if there's anybody who's ever laced up the boots that is just a better pure wrestler than Kurt Angle.
Yeah. 99 Kurt Angle, I want to say it's between 99, 2000, and you put him with somewhere between 95 and 97 Bret Hart. Unbelievable.
Yeah, so I'm going to go for Kurt Angle in this one. It leaves a bad taste in my mouth to agree with Dave, but I have to.
Kurt Angle versus Bryan Danielson would have been a hell of a fucking dream match.
I don't know. Yeah, that would have been a dream match also, because those two would have beaten the crap out of each other. And Kurt was one of those guys similar to Danielson where he liked it given as much as he liked to give it. So those two would have just tore each other apart.
Absolutely.
So Kurt Angle's our winner.
I know one guy too. I just want to add this too before we get out of here too. Like maybe we'll just throw maybe another name. People talk. I heard like one list. I think somebody had this guy on the list, William Regal.
Yeah,
and Regal actually mentioned recently on his podcast that if he had his opportunity, he wished he could have wrestled Bret in his prime. There was a point when they were in WCW together, but Regal admits he was not in the best state of mind at that point. And he admits, he says, I was still good enough than a lot of people that I could have had a decent match, but it wouldn't have been the match I would have wanted with Bret. And I think that's just one more I want to include there.
Absolutely.
Spotlight on too.
But that's along that same style. I mean, to me, it's along the same style as that Bryan Danielson match. And yes, we did do the top three. The top three was Dax Hardwood.
Number 3.
Yeah.
Bryan Daleson was 2. And our number 1 before we close out the show for the week, guys. Have a happy holiday. As we already said, and we'll repeat it again for the Working Fan Podcast who's listening. Kurt Angle is our top winner today for your top dream matches with Bret Hart. And
although he did not win the popular vote,
he did not win the popular vote. 23-22. Joe's brother Matt actually did give the final vote to Bryan Danielson, but when all was said and done, we just felt like Kurt Angle would have had a better match with Bret, which is saying something, by the way. We're not talking. That's not a knock on anyone.
Luckily for us, we don't go by the popular vote, just like America.
All right, folks. That's it for this week. You're welcome for tuning in and listening because, that's what a heel would say, right? You're welcome. And this is the 531, and we'll be back, guys. Enjoy the holidays.